for anyone who's interested more in spirituality, diving a little deeper, I'm not going to try to explain everything I say, so just going to hopefully, if anyone out there is more interested in the deeper, I guess it's psychology as much as it is spirituality. So, yeah, interesting topic of feeling enlightenment. I was going to call this video originally What is Enlightenment, but I think that's just not so interesting, and I think feeling enlightenment, let's talk about it. So, in my opinion, from my experiences in life, the way I look at enlightenment is twofold. There's two things that's going on. The first thing that's happening is that you are. The first way to look at it, at the end of the day, I'm cutting to the chase. It's all about relief. It's not that you're adding something to make yourself enlightened. It's not that something is coming into you, or it's not that something is coming out of you. It's more a case of you're getting rid of something that's already there. So enlightenment is, and I know it sounds arrogant to say enlightenment is as if I know what it is, but this is what it is to me based on my experiences. It's when you're able to turn off a lot of overthinking that stems from fear and use that freed up attention and energy to come into this moment right now as it's happening. Because the mind is usually involved with the past, the future, and it's understandable why we tend to lean more towards the mind, especially the older we get, or obviously with more traumatic events and stuff caused by fear that gets us to think more and more. But there's nothing wrong with a little bit of that. Even when we're children, there are some basic fears we have, but I think that the older we can get more and more lost in our thoughts. And it's always good to come in balance. So I think that going back again, feeling enlightenment is two things. The first one is when you're able to, either through, the reason why it's called enlightenment is through awareness, caused by understanding, either if trauma can cause it or whatever, anything can trigger more awareness. It's when you become more aware, you understand more about something, and as a result of that, and pretty much most understanding is going to go, especially spiritual, psychological understanding, will eventually go towards the point that there's nothing wrong with death. Okay? So the more and more we understand that, the more we are okay with this moment, and we're not going to be overthinking everything, because overthinking is there to try to protect us. We're trying to plan, analyze, so assess, so that's what thinking is. It's there to try to process information, and give us some results. So when we're able to shut that down more, or make that a lot less, enlightenment, the one big aspect of it is when that thinking machine, overthinking machine, goes from let's say 90% to about 20%. or even 10%. Or, people who meditate a lot can get it to being completely in the moment. But it doesn't have to be just meditators. It can be athletes. It can be anyone. So to say that this is just something for spiritual meditators or whatever is totally false. This can be done by businessmen. Anyone can get into this present zone. And so that's one big part of it. And by the way, like I said, there's nothing wrong with thinking. And this links us to the other part of enlightenment, which, again, this is all just from my experience, is when you're able to disidentify with who you think you are. And that disidentification basically is when you stop. Well, rather than saying stop, let's say it's when you start to just realize that everything that's happening is happening within who you are, who you truly are. It's a hard one to explain, but the way that I have explained it before is that it's almost as if you're playing those video games like Doom or Vice City, anything like that. You can go from the view of the actual character where you're seeing through his eyes, and that's how most of us live. Or you can kind of like take another view, and you can do this in racing games as well. Go from the steering wheel view to like an above view of the car. So that's kind of the second side of enlightenment, is when you kind of and I think this is when people have outer body experiences. When meditating, mostly, I think this is the, I guess why meditating is so powerful is because you can kind of go into more of these deeper, but also again, athletes have experienced this, boxers, tennis players, business people, everyone can experience this if they get into the zone enough. And they are no longer, seeing through things through kind of the eyes. It's more everything's just happening, and you're allowing things to happen. So it's going again. It's just basically taking further steps deeper into the realm of not being afraid and allowing things to just happen the way they are. So fear of death ultimately is what gets the mind driving hard, constantly thinking, and it's there, like I said, to protect us so that we don't get killed. And you see animals will do it too. They're always in fear, always looking left and right, always, constantly. But yeah, so I think the core of enlightenment is basically a feeling of relief. So when you're able to shut down that thinking, or if you're able to allow the thinking but kind of step out and just observe it and not be identified with it, just allow it to happen and not resist it, I think those are two of the most powerful forms of feeling enlightened. And being able to do that, you basically start to save a tremendous amount of energy. And that saving of energy is a huge relief, because you're basically going from a state of constant exertion and work and tension, burning energy. The brain is the organ in our body that consumes the most amount of energy. When you shut down a huge part of it, that's basically kind of in stress, that's in resistance, when you're able to do that, it's an incredibly blissful feeling. And, through my experiences, it can last. Sometimes the effects of it can last. For me, I've had experiences where it's lasted 3 days of very strong being in this state, and then just sort of fading over time. I think that the trap is that when you feel such a release, you can kind of, it can become like, oh, well, why isn't this feeling that I'm having right now, this incredible, blissful, why doesn't this last forever? And I don't think it's supposed to. I think it's just you're just going from one state to another state. And I think you can keep doing this. And it's not about like reaching one state of enlightenment where you're just in the state forever and you're just kind of glowing like the Buddha and you're just like Neo from the One. Neo from the Matrix, who's the One. I think that's possible, but I don't think that, you know, it's necessary. I think that just finding a balance is good. And I don't think it's possible for it to last forever. I think that you'll become normal. It will become your new normal. And it's just a better state of normal than your previous state of normal. You'll be wasting less energy. You'll be more able to let go of things, more easygoing, and it will be healthier, for your life and your body, mind, and everything. So it's literally just a healthier way to live, and it's a much more effective way to live. You'll be better at what you do. You'll enjoy what you do more. All right, and so really just wanted to share this because I do think that we do put this whole enlightenment thing, and like I said, more of the spiritual people out there will understand what I'm talking about more, but maybe even if you're non-spiritual, you can kind of guess that, this is people, all these hippies, they're talking about being enlightened and all this, and they don't really understand it. All it is really is just, like I said, just kind of like becoming more aware, that awareness leading to knowledge that there's nothing to be afraid of, or, don't be so afraid, and then letting go and of the thinking, coming more into the present. And, it really does take training your focus and your attention, It takes, like anything, like going to the gym or whatever. It just takes being focused on something, whatever it is. As long as it's here and now in this moment. So, but like I said, it doesn't have to be 100%. You can have a mix of some thoughts, some thinking, but observe and be aware of them, and then being in the moment too. So get a good mix, and you can have your own personalized experience of life, of existence. And it's like you'll see this in everything, like all the things that feel good. And this is probably the most important thing I want to talk about in this video, is all the things that feel good it's not things that are being added to us. It's just a sense of relief, when something's been removed. And usually it's when tension has been removed. When we have sex and the amazing feeling we have, when we have our climax, it's actually a huge sense of relief, because there's been this build-up for a long time, and the longer you hold that build-up, it's just more and more tension, and until you have the release, and the release is what feels so amazing and incredible. It's basically like you're tying something around your wrist so tightly for so long, and then you finally open it up and it feels so good. All right. Again, this is just from my experiences, my views, but it's same with food as well. When you don't eat for a long time, then you eat, and there's this relief. Your body is relieved. So relief is something that I think a lot about, and I think the core of what I want to talk about in this video is, learning how to allow things more and to get out of our own way. So it's not really that we're going to add something into our life that's going to make us happy, like money or whatever. It's about learning how to get out of your own way, because we are all super powerful. We're all capable of so much, but we enslave ourselves with fear and thinking and, doubt. So the only way to counter that is to reduce doing that, which requires our attention and focus. To be strong, and the way we train our attention and focus is to, meditating is a huge tool for that. But anything that requires focus and attention, training, or discipline. Okay? So, training your attention, your focus, very, very important in order to help you to focus on the right things, be able to take different perspectives, including the one I was talking about, the video game, where you go from being identified with this person that you think you are to just observing and allowing. Yeah, so that's it. That's my video. Just feeling enlightenment. I think feeling enlightenment is feeling relieved. And check out these cool, it's like a lizard. I don't know why it does that. I think it's just eating something, or I don't know. Sounds like it's having hiccups. But yeah, so feeling enlightenment, all it is a sense of relief. That's enlightenment. When you go to sleep every night, and do you ever remember the moment before you fall asleep? You never do. We never do. That's like, look, I don't want to freak you out, but that's like dying. I think that's when you just shut off. So it's like we're able to do it every night. Also, by the way, that's how, in my experience, any type of enlightenment, has happened to me. Like when I have had very deep meditative experiences where my body dissolves, or I step out of my body, all of those experiences for me have happened, just by being really still, by focusing, by letting go. And it's very similar to how when you fall asleep, your body will just fall asleep, and different parts of your body, and ultimately if you can get parts of your brain to just shut down and fall asleep, but you're still conscious. It's an incredible uh, way to re-energize yourself. Like I said, you stop fighting against yourself, and you allow this amazing power that we all have to just come out, and do what it wants to do. I am a believer that at the end of the day, it will come out in some shape or form. Like even if you do resist, there's nothing wrong with that. It's natural. We live in a terrifying world in a way, and a beautiful world in another way. But having a balance is good. But yeah, so just getting out of our own way and allowing ourselves to be, and and it doesn't have to happen overnight. It can be a gradual thing. But I think ultimately learning, how to strengthen our focus and awareness. Those are the most important things. Right. I'm out of here. See you guys. Bye.